Enjoy the journey of learning with Anil Kumar. Here is another beautiful application question. Let us try to understand how do we solve it. Question number 5. The Skylon Tower in Niagara Falls is about 526 feet high. From a certain distance, Anil measures the angle of elevation to the top of the tower to be 66 degrees. So this is angle of elevation. Then he walks away another 65 feet in the same direction and measures the angle of elevation again. Determine the measure of this angle. So we need to find the angle of elevation measured second time when Anil walks 65 feet away from its original position. So let us first sketch a diagram to understand this situation. So let's say this is the ground and the tower, which is 526 feet, is shown here. It will be assumed to be at 90 degrees. Height of this tower is 526 feet. So measuring the angle of elevation from a particular position, let's that position be A for Anil. We don't really know the distance from the foot of the tower. So let's say the tower is ST. But we know the angle of elevation, which is 66 degrees. He then walks away 65 feet. So we know he walks away means it will be kind of like this to the position B. And from A to B, it is 65 feet. Determine the measure of this angle of elevation. So now we really want to find what is this angle at B. Correct? So let's call this angle of elevation as theta. So I hope the diagram is absolutely clear. The strategy is going to be that first we'll solve the right angle triangle ATS and find A to S. Let this distance be x. Once we know x, then we also know the distance from B to S, and so that will be this distance, which is x plus 65. And then we are going to solve the second right angle triangle BST. Perfect. So I think you have understood the approach. Now let us solve it one by one. So first in the triangle, which is AST, we are looking at the angle, and from the angle we are looking at opposite and adjacent side, right? So we can use the tan ratio. Since you know SOHCAHTOA, right? Sine is opposite over hypotenuse, cos is adjacent over hypotenuse, tan is opposite over adjacent. Now in this case, we are working with opposite and adjacent side, so we are going to use tan ratio, right? So we can write down that tan of the angle of elevation 66 degrees is equal to opposite side of 526 divided by the unknown length which we want to find as x, correct? Cross multiply to find the value of x. So x will be 526 divided by tan 66. Let's use calculator. It should be set in degrees. 526 divided by tan of 66 gives us 234.19. So we have the value of x, right? Now we can find B to S. So we'll solve now the triangle, which is BST, right? This is also a right angle triangle. And in this triangle, we know now that B to S, this distance is x plus 65, which is 234.19 plus 65, correct? So we'll add 65 to this, and we know it is equal to 299.19. Clear? So that is the base BS. Now in this triangle again, we are looking at two things, which is opposite and adjacent side with reference to the angle of elevation theta, which we need to find. So now we can write down tan theta is equal to the opposite side, which is 526, over adjacent, which is 299.19. So that gives you the value of 526 divided by 299.19 is 1.75808. So tan theta is this. That really means that the angle of elevation theta will be equal to tan inverse, right, of 1.75808. Minimum, you should round it to 4 decimal places, right? So we just wrote the value, it's there in the calculator. And now we are going to find shift tan inverse we'll get of the answer, which is 1.75808, and we get the angle as 60.368. Correct. So we can round this to around 60 degrees. So that becomes the angle of elevation from point B rounded to a whole number. Perfect. So I hope you understand each and every steps. Thanks for valuable time and all the best.